Hello, I welcome you all. Today we have Dr. N.D. Noor Desmukh, Principal of Satyam Darshan Institute of Engineering and Technology, Faridabad, with us. Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Talking about Satyam Darshan Institute, which have a dedicated team of experienced and highly qualified faculty members, where technical education is married with industry on one hand and moral and ethical on other. Institute is also known for its excellence in imparting meaningful education to students and to encourage them to think innovatively. So, first of all, congratulations for the achievements you have had with Satyaguru Institute of Engineering and Technology. So, there have been ups and downs in the engineering education. What are the key changes that have happened over the years? Can you please share with us your experience?
Yes. Actually, after completion of my degree from NIT Bhopal, both graduation and masters, I immediately joined into teaching because I had a passion for that. So happened that it was 1993, way back, and it was one of the first private institutions of the new government policy of privatization. And I had attended one of the conventions of ISTE in 91, in which all the dignitaries, the ministry, the MHRD people were there. And there it was announced by the honorable minister then that the manpower requirement predictions say that we will not be able to handle the sheer volume of people required by the industry. And because of the lack of funding, we are thinking on three lines. Number one, complete privatization of the engineering education. Number two, running the government institutions on private lines on self-financing basis. Number three, giving our institutions to other private bodies to run. I happen to have worked in two of these types in my early career, and that was one was the complete private institution, and another was the Barkatullah Vishwavidyalaya College of Engineering and Technology. It was self-financed, but the government provided us the land and the building. So, cutting it short, I happen to have seen the education sector, especially the engineering education sector, for about 3 decades now. I have been in the very beginning privatization of the engineering education, and then I have seen its growth, massive growth rather, and then the downfall. Initially, it went very well because there were few institutions, and there were very good student quality intake. So they used to excel, and they used to perform in both in the industry and higher education. They went for GATE, and they were selected for masters at IIT, and many of them went outside in the foreign countries. Even though the institutions, let me be very clear, those days didn't maintain the quality, because there was a huge demand. Because I am keeping the South Indian scenario aside, because there the privatization started long back. So the people used to send their students to South. They could save money, and they wanted a hometown and study. So in the northern part, I think Madhya Pradesh started with these engineering colleges in 93, and then the NCR region went for it in around 96. So that time the student quality was good. But gradually there was a lot of mushrooming of institutions. And then we saw I personally was there in the very much in the affairs, and I could see that there was a deterioration in the intake quality, to the extent that even the improvements in the quality of education, many of them went for improvement, some good colleges, although it was marginal, but they could not deliver. Most of those business houses involved in running the engineering institutions were only interested in short-term profit making and were least interested on investing in maintaining the standards for a long-term gain. Also, the role of regulatory bodies, with due apologies, the AICT, etc., that time was not very good. They contributed substantially to the downfall of the engineering education. Also, gradually, the technological advancements picked up. There was a huge change in the levels of the technological advancements in the industry and consequent requirements of the technological know-how in the engineering graduates. So the academia lagged behind terribly. Finally, the current economic slowdown, which has gradually killed the manufacturing sector and the medium to small level enterprises, was catastrophic for the engineering education sector. So that's my experience, having the growth and fall of these institutions.
So I must admit that you have seen the ups and downs of the industry. I must admit that.
Right.
So what are the biggest challenges you see in engineering education in the current scenario, and how to overcome these challenges?
I feel the biggest challenge will be actually the end user is the industry. Everyone knows. So the current engineering education needs an immediate attention in this. We need to bridge the gap between the academia and the industry. We, being the human resource provider, the engineering institutions, we need to cater to the end users what they need. Of course, we cannot tailor-make engineers as per requirement of every variety of industries, because there are n number of varieties in the industry available. So approach should be there, and we should remove, first of all, there are a lot of unfortunately, because of some, bureaucracy involved, unfortunately in the academics also, lot of superfluous courses, we have continued with them, right? So we need to purge the engineering syllabi of these superfluous courses, and the BTech program, especially the first year, is, in my opinion, is a total waste of time right now. And I don't know why the planners at the highest level are not interested in looking into that. On one side, the chairman AICTE says that we need specialist courses that we'll be having. Introducing unnecessary courses in the syllabi, which have no relevance, and it's a kind of dilution. So the first year could be very well done away with. That leaves 3 years for us, and to complete the core areas of the branch of engineering which you are delivering. And then we are left with 1 full year or more even for industry-specific specializations. This could be achieved by directly involving industry personnel.
Right.
Thus, in this way, we'll not be producing simple engineering graduates, but trained and specialized industry-ready engineers, leaving very little for the industry to do before the graduate becomes productive. So I'll sum up that gone are the days when engineers were supposed to be a jack of all. Today, the industry demands specialists. So we need degrees with a strong core and specialization. I am recalling a very interesting thing. It was back in 90s. Then there was an Indo-UK REC collaboration. The NITs were then called RECs. So after a 2-year program, there was a month faculty exchange. The Indian faculty used to go to the UK and serve, and the UK faculty used to come here and deliver. After the end of these 2 years collaboration, they had a very interesting feedback session, and I happened to have heard all those remarks. Talk about your BTechs, even your MTechs are highly generalized. So it means that it's high time we went for a specialized engineering course. But let us not be reactionary. We should not forget that core engineering education is equally important. Of course, we should, with all superfluous courses that physics, chemistry, and whatnot we are teaching, which is already over when a student joins after his 12th standard. We are not giving him any additional thing. Actually, they have continued with this because earlier, I recall my own engineering education studentship. It was a 5-year degree course, and the schooling was only till 11th. There was no 12 standards. So a lot of physics, chemistry, and mathematics we had not learned yet. So that time it was required. And unfortunately, this is the trend of affairs world over. Let me be very critical. It doesn't mean that the United States is following a system that we also start following. Because if we want specialists, we in a given time frame, we need to save upon the time. So why should we go for all superfluous courses? So that's my take on that topic.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. So what is the core strength of Faculty of Engineering at your institute?
Our institute has a very strong Faculty of Engineering with computer science, mechanical engineering, electronics, and communication engineering department. Besides the state-of-the-art infrastructure, we have highly experienced and qualified department heads having PhDs from IITs and other premier institutions. And as we see that most of the university curriculum are still to catch up with what is going to come in future. We at Satyug Darshan have already started a parallel effort to make specialists out of our students and engage the industry personnel for the same.
So what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style?
Oh, that's a very personal question. People may differ, but my leadership style is a bit different. I can say it is radically different rather. My philosophy first and the foremost is that we should lead by example. It won't work that we go on commanding things and ordering. When we are leading a group of people, we should lead by example. And a leader should take a little more than his share of blame, right?
Right.
And less than his share of credit.
Right.
One needs the cooperation of people around him. He or she, the leader, must make them feel they are important. And this can be achieved only by being genuine and humble.
Right, sir. Right. So, what do you think should be the institute's top priority over the? So, what do you think? Yeah. What do you think should be the institute's top priority over the next 5 years?
Actually, we are very soon planning to go for an NBA accreditation, and subsequently will go for an autonomous status at the earliest possible to get the freedom from university curriculum and innovate to be more relevant and agile.
Right. So, what would you people to know about the institute they may not know?
We have a very serene campus with acclaimed senior level people handling the growth and planning the future ready academics.
Okay.
Our greatest strength is that we have a holistic approach in developing young minds and a strong industry integration. Thus, we integrate the university syllabi and produce more complete personalities which are ready to face the world. Our campus has a very famous, one of its kind meditation center. I would love to invite you to visit our campus once and have a look.
Great thoughts, including meditation center at Institute. Seriously, you are one of the very few universities who are doing this. So what do you see as your institute's greatest strength, sir? And
That's what I was telling you, that our greatest strength is that we look into the ethics, we teach ethics, and we try to develop the young minds in a holistic manner, and we try to integrate the industry. Most of our courses, we are trying to have a very strong industry integration. Actually, the end users are the industry people. And if we don't cater to their plan, then it's of no use. The curricula, we have a very good, I told you, the meditation center, we have a super clean environment, having play fields and sports facilities of the highest standard. And then we have in every course which we run, we have an integrated, industry people. We rope in these people, and we have a parallel mechanism to have syllabus coverage as well as parallel industry people delivering to augment the syllabi and produce more complete personalities, engineers which are ready for the industry and are ready to face the world as a human.
So it was great today having you here on this episode. So before summing up, any message you would like to give to current youth and the aspiring students?
I have a very crisp, line for the youth, that they should have a right balance of smart planning and hard work, which is the key to success. Smart planning means they should adapt, they should forecast what's going to happen, they should have an eye on the future and plan accordingly. That's what is called smart planning. But work should be hard. I don't believe in smart work. Smart planning, but work should be hard. Hard work and smart planning is key to success. That is my message to the current youth.
Definitely, sir. Great message it was. Definitely, our youth would follow the same and touch the heights they have always dreamt of. Yeah. I'd like to end this today's episode here. Thanking sir today. Yeah. Okay. So thanks a lot, sir, for
Thanks.
guiding us.
Thanks.